Hello, we are live. Welcome to this bonanza of a Who's Round. There is so much Doctor Who news since the last live stream I did back in October. We've got Revolution of the Daleks news. We've got merchandise, a load of merchandise, and of course, good old Big Finish. But I'm joined by a very special guest. I'm joined by Luke. Say hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. I mean, it's very short notice. I literally let you know, 2 hours ago, was it?
Yeah, but lockdown life. What else is there to do? Always happy to talk about a bit of Doctor Who.
I mean, I guess a good sort of starting point for this is Doctor Who Day. Did you do anything special for the big 57 for Doctor Who?
Watched An Unearthly Child, and that's about it.
Did you watch all of it or just episode 1?
I watched episode 1 and 2 on the day itself, and then finished it off the next day.
That's very good, actually. I mean, I watched Remembrance of the Daleks, the non-official 25th anniversary special.
More of one than Silver Nemesis.
Yeah, I thought I'd watch it for the new B&M stuff, so I could do a bit of research for the new Ace and Imperial Dalek.
Any luck with that?
I've only found the Davros set. I still need to get the Ace set, which I'm going to try tomorrow and get the Ace set, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's probably going to be the most popular out of the two because everybody wants the Imperial Dalek.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, they are very pretty Daleks.
Yeah. Especially in recent times, the classic ones seem to be the ones that are the more popular with collectors, definitely.
Yeah, I think the classic figures, compared to like the new series stuff, I think we only had 2 new series figure sets in terms of B&M, like the 13th Doctor stuff. The rest is all classic, really. So I guess, it's amazing to think 4 or 5 years ago the countercrops were saying, nobody really buys Doctor Who stuff, but over like this year, there's been such a big resurgence in it. Which is really lovely. So we've got a few comments.
Used to be 3 sets a year, B&M, and it was all like repackages, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the B&M stuff started out to be getting hard to get figures. So like your Tomb of the Cybermen, Cyber Controller, what other rare figures they did do? Like Delgado Masters, just stuff like that. But now, as the line sort of progressed, they've sort of got more elaborate. We've got Romana now, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Really.
The support, there must have been enough support early on for them to see, money's coming in here. Let's see what else we can get away with. And then slowly but surely, they'd be getting more elaborate, more new molds, new characters, exciting things like that.
I think 2018 was going to be make or break for the Doctor Who stuff, actually, because I think that's why it was so out of there with like the Pertwee TARDIS, the talent of Weng Chiang, 4th Doctor. Like you could tell they were really pushing to do something different, and I think because they were so well received, we've been able to get Big Finish figures, we've been able to get a load of classic TARDISes now, so it's great that we're getting the companions now.
Yeah, and then also like quite a lot more in a year, because we've had 2 full waves this year of like, I'd say, so 3 like buy 3 figure packs, and then a TARDIS as well, so 2 TARDISes, and then also these little extras with. We also had Dalek and the 2 Dalek sets this year, didn't we?
Yeah, we had like the History of the Dalek sets, the Jungles of Mechanist. We even had the revised Big Finish sets and like the Paladin Pertwee. So we've had like 3 waves of B&M stuff, which is just mental to think about how lucky we've been with figures.
And there's probably going to be more coming early next year, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I reckon around February, March, we'll probably get a few more, maybe a possible tweak sets of the ones that have just come out. I don't know. I was just checking the comments. Have I missed one by the Ace? The Ace set's out, apparently. I haven't seen it, but I know people have been able to get it. So it is out there to be seen and bought up. Really.
It's odd that it's only been the Davros 12th Doctor set out there. You think they'd send them out together?
It seems like what they've done is they've basically sent like a box of just the Davros set, a box of just the Remembrance set. So it doesn't seem like they've done like, oh, here's 4 Davros sets with 4 Remembrance sets. So it does seem like they're just getting one case of each figure set.
Yeah, or I suppose it could be that they maybe got both cases, and then some stores have just opened up one of them. I'm thinking the other one, oh, it's just the same. We'll restock that when these ones go down a bit, but instead it's a different set in there.
I mean, they've got different product codes, so surely that'll be on the box. But hey, we'll find out. Eventually.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because I believe that there's a bit of a distribution problem with these sets, especially the October ones. That apparently the south of England didn't get any, and apparently they're not going to get any, which is really bizarre. How the distribution can just be that messed up, really. But
yeah, especially when you think the north is the one that's supposedly been getting hit harder by COVID.
well, in terms of like the tier stuff, definitely the North kicked in the teeth.
In terms of cases, maybe not, but let's not get into anything too political.
But in terms of B&M, the North is thriving. There's loads of B&M figures galore. So there's the North-South divide of B&M figures, which is all very cool. Should we talk about our first bit of news? Speaking of Daleks and all that, Revolution of the Daleks, we have finally got a bit of news. Considering it could be less than a month away. I don't know if they've confirmed if it's Christmas or New Year's, or it could be a 2-parter. But we know that it is a 70-minute special. So it is a feature-length episode. We know that Captain Jack's back. This has been sort of one of the worst-kept secrets for Doctor Who, I think, in recent years.
I think they had the leak of the code, didn't they? Like in one of the behind-the-scenes stuff they did for series 12, he was in the background in the coat or something, and people worked out they didn't line up with what they filmed for Fugitive of the Doom, so they thought, oh, he must be coming back at some point when he wasn't in any of series 12 that left Revolution.
Yeah, because I think it was like that challenge video between Jodie and Mandip Gill.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
And I think you can hear John Barrowman shout, "Go on, Jodie." And obviously...
he said he hadn't filmed anything with Herden, or like didn't even meet her when he did Fugitive.
Because I think John Barrowman filmed in the Bristol Cathedral, and that definitely didn't look like a cathedral from behind the scenes and from that little video.
Yeah, and then they must have known it was out there and just decided to sit on it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Chibnall does like to keep it secret. I think, obviously, he mustn't have control over that, really.
No, I guess not. But certainly they've tried to be a bit more secretive with the Chibnall era, haven't they?
Oh, compared to Series 10, like Series 10, it was just leaks galore. Like, I think we knew that the first Doctor was back before the ending of The Doctor Falls.
We had John Sim leak.
Yeah, I think, was that because of the trailer at the end of the pilot, or was that separate?
No, that was a bit. It was filming, wasn't it? People like got pictures of him from the back and worked out who it was.
Oh, I remember people going, "Oh, it's they're bringing Delgado back. Like, we've got somebody looking like Delgado." Little did we realize it was John Sim.
Yeah, pulling off the goatee.
Yeah, I mean, DWSR, I don't think that's a thing anymore. I think that's kind of just crumbled over the Chibnall era, so I think that's one thing to be thankful for about the Chibnall stuff.
Yeah, I remember. Like, I think there were like announcements before Series 11 that they were going to be clamping down on things like that a lot more. And it worked out well for them with Series 11, but they just didn't have anything to really hide.
Yeah, there wasn't anything like returning or stuff like that, really.
Whereas that, and then for Revolution as well, another leak was some people saw them filming with the Daleks, didn't they?
Yeah, on the Bristol suspension bridge. I think that was this time last year.
Wow, it's mad to think this has been in the works for that long.
And we're finally going to see it in a month's time, month and a bit maybe. Be nice to know when we actually get that, because we've got the new Dalek design, because that's been on the cover of the Radio Times. Has it been today, or was it tomorrow it was out?
Yeah, I think it might even be Sunday.
Yeah. What do you think of the new Dalek design?
Not the biggest fan, to be honest. It feels like it's smaller than it actually is. If not, it feels like a baby Dalek almost, with the fact that they've got less of the spheres at the bottom and stuff, like the weird design of it, and then the more skeletal top half. I feel like because it's pretty much a recolor and nicer version of the Recon Dalek, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Recon Dalek was just that one-off Dalek design, so I'm a bit surprised that this new Dalek is exactly the same, but just sort of black and silver and blue.
Yeah.
It looks like a gaming computer with that sort of bright neon blue in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we got a different color scheme at least.
Oh yeah, I think it's a kind of a refreshing change compared to like the bronze Daleks, even though the bronze Daleks are in this one.
Yeah, apparently. But it does. It looks like these Dalek, the new Dalek. It's more than one. It's not just like a supreme design or something, is it? There's multiple of them, and then presumably multiple bronze Daleks as well.
I mean, I think from the filming, I think it's meant to do like a Dalek Civil War. From what people picked up on when they were at the Bristol Bridge, but God knows what it will be like. We'll have to wait and see, because again, we don't really know much about the actual plot for it.
No, that's all being kept under wraps as well.
I mean, maybe, I'm quite excited to see the trailer. Whether it'll be a proper trailer or it'll be like the 16-second clip with John Barrowman just going, "Oh, I've missed that sound." Whether it will actually be a full trailer for it.
Yeah, I mean, they never do too much in terms of trailers now, do they? I think Series 12 trailer was only about a minute long.
Yeah, but I feel like the Series 12 trailer offered quite a bit. It got you quite excited. Like the music was great. The visuals, you're just like, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, they stepped it up from Series 11. I'll admit that.
Was there any monsters in the series? Yeah, I think there was monsters in the Series 12 trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jadoon wasn't. The Jadoon appeared, I think. Did we get?
Yeah,
and the glimpse of Cybermen as well.
And the Skiffer as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully the Revolution of the Daleks trailer actually has Daleks in. That would be nice.
Yeah, they've weirdly kept them out of a lot of the marketing so far. Like those two pictures they released at Comic-Con.
Do you feel like that would have been an obvious point for them to go, here's a Dalek? I think that would have generated hype enough instead of just the companions around the table where you're just like, how can I get invested in this? How can I get excited about that?
Yeah, especially when we already knew like that was what was going on. I'm slightly worried, like even with the 70 minutes to feature length, that it seems like there's a lot going on and it's going to be rushed. Because we've got Jodie in a space prison, companions having to work on their own, and then Jack coming back as well to squeeze in. Apparently, a Dalek civil war now.
There does seem. I think my. Oh, go on.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't know how much of that can be done justice in 70 minutes.
I think that was my problem with Resolution, that you wanted the Dalek stuff, but you got left with the Ryan and his dad in the cafe scene, which just really stilted the whole story for me and kind of threw me out of it. So yeah. I hope that there is enough time in Revolution of the Daleks, since the Daleks in the title. I want to see Daleks. I want to see the Daleks actually do what Daleks do best, and that's kill people.
So fingers crossed we get a good amount of that in there. And also that it all ties together, because like you were saying about the Ryan's dad stuff, that had zero relevance to the Dalek plot from what I remember. Like his microwave thing helped defeat them in the end, but it's not like there was any parallels or anything there. Anything really to work at. Like with say Remembrance, where we had Ace and what's the guy's name who she likes in that?
Oh gosh, you really put me on the spot now. Is it Mike?
Yeah, Mike, that's it. Like, obviously, you've got parallels there with the Daleks in how he thinks, like keeping the outsiders out and things. There's a lot of
Yeah,
good subtext there, where even if it's not a Dalek-related subplot,
I mean,
it's
even his mom
still,
actually, with like the sign in the little B&B.
yeah,
Yeah,
like sort of showing how close some humans are to that sort of thing, which is quite terrifying in a way.
I
Whereas,
mean,
and I
can
mean, it
can we?
doesn't have to be a repeat of that, but just something in relation to the story and the plot would be nice. But no, we don't really get that.
I think it might be a little bit political because of a certain character returning. I mean, I don't know whether to say whether it's a spoiler, but I think it's in the SFX magazine, so I don't know if people know, but there is a returning character, so it might have a political edge to it.
Yeah, and plus, with that, like the way it was done last time, it was political, but you didn't know what they were trying to say with it. So
Yeah,
how well that will be done here is another question.
whether it would be like the redemption of that character, I don't know.
No, and I think
I
that's
just,
another thing that leaked even long before as well. I remember hearing rumblings of that character. Like, I
I
think it
mean,
was leaked through some other, like, either the background of some behind the scenes video or someone's CV, something. I remember hearing them rumored.
most stuff leaks on people's CV, like most like Big Finish news, we've kind of knew because it's been on somebody's CV.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Dalek Universe, we knew about some stuff about that long before.
and there's Martha box set. Apparently that's coming, but
Yeah, I think
they haven't
that's been
announced it.
ages, isn't it?
I think that we've known about that since like the summer, possibly.
Yeah, I think so.
Because no way has Free Radman just done that one tortured audio.
No, there's definitely got
Um,
to be more there.
Definitely got to do more on that.
Hopefully a volume 4 at some point.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be like a limited edition case and not. Well, I mean, vinyl's nice, but it's a bit more pricey.
Yeah, and I guess also then you've got the problem of it not matching on the shelf. Like, okay.
Yeah, because we were talking about this before that we thought River Song would have been the 10th Doctor and River Song would be like the 10th Doctor Volume 4, but it's very much its own little thing from what I've listened to of it.
Yeah, which is a bit bizarre. I don't know. Like, from what I've listened to, it's almost feeling more like 11th Doctor style stories with the 10th Doctor.
Yeah, because I feel like the 10th Doctor's quite angsty in it in a way.
Oh,
Um, he's quite cold, but Rivers is like white because it's. I mean, I'm not going to spoil expiry date, but it's done in a very fun way. So it's a nice, fun like comedy. What you expect from James Goss, so it's a fun listen. That.
yeah. I think I've given the free preview of what was it? Precious Annihilation. Like they released first 15 minutes of that with the newsletter. I've given that a listen. I've bought the whole set, but haven't had a chance to dive in just yet. But yeah, but just going off that, I've enjoyed that little bit so far. I'm looking forward to diving in a bit more. Perfect. Do we want to loop back round to Revolution quickly and wrap that up?
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to add to Revolution?
Uh, I mean, I guess I'm looking forward to it. Like, hopefully, we find out when it's coming out on what's on Sunday. Hopefully, if we get in a trailer, we'll have a release date at last at the end of that because they're being unusually coy about that. But other than that, I'd say I'm looking forward to it for Jack. We'll leave it at that.
What would you say is your one hope for Revolution of the Daleks? Like, what's one thing you really want from that story?
I suppose just for it to not be rushed at the end, really, and for things to play out in a decent way. So with Chibnall, there are a lot. You feel like there's stories that have a fair bit of promise, but then they just they'll introduce something interesting, not do anything with it, and then wrap up in a bit of a messy way. So I'm hoping for just a clean wrap up at the end of it would be one hope, which is sort of like a broad thing for basically just saying I want it to be good. But yeah, I can't, like, in terms of specific moments, like Jack kissing someone or something like that, I don't think I have any specific hopes like that. How about you?
I mean, he's already kissed Graham, which I think that's all you want. Bradley Walsh and John Barrowman having a cheeky snog.
Yeah.
I just want a proper Dalek story. Because
Yeah.
I think Chibnall, one thing I will give Resolution is that Chibnall knows how to write a Dalek. I think that the Dalek dialogue was great, so hopefully, I just want a good solid Dalek story. I'm like, yeah, that's for Daleks, because I think
It's been a long while since we've had one.
Well, and I think as well, because me and you were so into like the world of Big Finish, we're kind of becoming a little bit Dalek fatigued in a way. Would you say?
Yeah.
Would you becoming a little bit fatigued because you've got Time Lord Victorious, you've got Dalek Universe upcoming.
Shadow of the
so much
Daleks.
Dalek stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd kind of want something a little bit original from the Daleks.
Yeah, although if we're getting a civil war, I don't know how original that'll be. But
I mean, I would have liked that with the Paradigm Daleks, but I think that boat's long since sailed.
yeah, that's true. We got a new design to hate on now instead.
I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, I'm gonna wait until it's actually in action, and then I'll make a proper judgment, because I think the design worked as like a scrapyard Dalek. I think that's what people have called it.
Yeah.
Whether this Dalek has, or these Daleks have a special like connotation around them.
Yeah, like maybe it's again man-made or something, but a bit more from a business, like a bigger business, rather than just a Dalek operating on its own in some scrapyards. Like,
yeah, I mean, it might not even be a true Dalek. Maybe it might be like something what humans have made. I don't know.
Well,
like
yeah.
from the remnants of the junkyard Dalek, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and then that could lead to that civil war, supposedly.
Yeah, possibly. Just seeing what else it says. Because there's one point what I saw on the chat about Revolution of the Daleks. If I can just find it. It's also been confirmed supposedly that Bradley Walsh and Tosin Cole are leaving at the end of this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I feel like we need some fresh blood in there, mix it up a bit.
Because I remember, I think it was on Bradley Walsh's CV, of all things, that he was part of Series 13 and that Comic-Con thing, but it sounded like he was staying on. So it'd be interesting to see whether Graham resorts to like a cameo role like Wilf in Series 4, that he was just in and out of the stories, or he's properly gone. I guess we'll just have to see at the end of Revolution of the Daleks whether Graham and Ryan make it out alive, or they just go kaput, really, and die.
Yeah, because obviously they're all living quite close together, aren't they, with Yaz and everything? So if Yaz was to stay, it would feel a bit weird going home and then not having them two there if they're still around. So it just depends how they wrap it up. But I guess we have got the potential for Bradley and what was her name? The woman in Essential of the Cybermen and Timeless Children.
I can't remember. I mean, I really enjoyed Essential of the Cybermen, and Timeless Children I've only watched once. But I know she kind of reminded me of the person Nardole fell in love with, but kind of that same vibe I got from the Dr. Falls, really.
Yeah, but they had that moment where he said about having a butcher's eye, and she's like, "Oh, I like weird." And it's like showing that she might have a thing for him.
I mean, he's soon got over Grayson if he's after another lady.
Yeah,
maybe that's
you never know how much of a time jump there'll be with the next one.
That is true, actually. I mean, has it been confirmed that those characters are involved in Revolution, or is it just literally, they're back in Sheffield now, they're not in that house TARDIS?
Yeah, I think it's just sort of like the speculation that you'd imagine they'd stick around with Graham, Ryan, and Yaz a little bit because they're the only people they know in that time. It would feel a bit weird for them to just say, "Right, we're off back to Sheffield now." Bye. Like, I think they keep in contact a bit and at least set them up. Whether or not that would happen on screen or if that's long since passed and they're like nicely have their own lives started back on in present day Earth. I don't know.
I mean, that's a worry because if you continue that plot thread, you're eating into that 70 minutes, like you said, but
Yeah,
there's so much going on within it. I guess you do have that worry, really.
Yeah, that's true.
But there we go. I guess that's Revolution of the Daleks all covered, really.
Yeah, I think we've gone through that quite thoroughly.
Yeah, I think we've covered that as best as we can with what bit of information we have at this current moment in time. Obviously, in Sunday, we might have a bit more to talk about from the trailer. Just have to wait and see. Well, yeah.
Trailer if we don't.
I mean, we've got a poster. I guess we can quickly talk about the poster. The poster looks very cool.
Yeah, I think you said it reminds you a bit of the We Are the Daleks cover.
Yeah, with that sort of neon arrows, it sort of reminds me of like the game in War of the Daleks. So it does have like quite an 80s vibe to it. So I kind of dig that.
Yeah, I think even the poster itself looks almost like a Big Finish cover, doesn't it? Like with the way, like especially they released a square version, and that just screams that this is a Big Finish cover.
They just need like Nick Briggs' voice, coming soon from Big Finish Productions. I mean, speaking of Big Finish, we've got a question from Harry, which I think is quite a good question. Has there been any recent Big Finish stories which you thought were awful from this year? I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, I'd go with that one.
I'd say that's probably been my least. It's wrong to say least favorite, but it's probably the story what I thought was kind of just average. Yeah. Like it's okay, but it's kind of very Scooby Doo, and yeah, even though it's a two-parter, it just feels kind of drawn out for me personally.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd also another one that jumps out to me recently was From Time Apart, the Dancing Plague, the final story of that. I wasn't a fan of that, I'll be honest. I think even though it's a very short story, I think it only lasts just over 20 minutes.
Isn't that the shortest one in Time Apart?
Yeah, by far. But at the same time, it just didn't do it for me. Yeah.
But I don't think there's been anything necessarily terrible don't listen to. I think everything what I've listened to this year, I've enjoyed something from it, and I've just
I think the difference with Big Finish though and like something on TV is that you're forking out 10, 15, sometimes 20 quid to listen, sometimes even more than that. And so it's like I enjoyed listening to it, but did I enjoy listening to it enough to justify someone else spending that money?
Yeah, I think and I think as well it's kind of subjective to taste. Like everyone has their own flavor of Doctor Who. So it's whether your taste in Doctor Who matches everyone else's, really.
Yeah, I guess that's the good thing about Big Finish, the sheer amount of output. Everyone's bound to find something for them, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I like about the David Bradley box sets, but there's a story for everyone in that sort of set, but you've got the historical, then you've got the sci-fi, so I feel like that box set just has something, that sort of range has something for everyone, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that answers that question.
Maybe Dark Universe, that's another one that jumps out to me as not being great.
Would you say that's down to the overhyping of it? That it was too overhyped, maybe? Because they made quite a big deal of Seven and Old Ace when you kind of get past that in the first part, and then it goes back to the same sort of traditional Seventh Doctor and Ace stuff by the end of it.
Yeah, very true. And I feel also the way it almost feels rushed in the second half of it.
I mean, I enjoyed part 3. Part 3 was great to see the 11 actually win, I guess.
Yeah. So you get to the point of, oh, we've done this now. How do we get out? It's very much that RTD thing of writing himself into a corner.
I can't remember how it ends actually. But I wouldn't say it was the worst of that trilogy, because you've got what ones have you got in that? You've got Subterfuge and that's it.
For me, I'd say Dark Universe was my least favourite.
Actually, I quite liked it. I mean, I give Dark Universe an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy it, but I think by the end of it was just like, oh, it's Seventh Doctor and Ace up to their old tricks again, really. Well, the Seventh Doctor, really.
Them having another fallout.
Yeah.
I think she says something like, "Oh, this is the worst you've ever done. I'll never trust you again." Like, how many times has that happened now? It's just.
She still falls for it, doesn't she? She still gets trapped by it all, really.
And it feels like each time they do it, they think, "Oh, this is the first time it's happened." Like it feels like they're treating it as this huge thing, when really it doesn't feel any different from the last 10 or so times.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's like the worst for Seventh Doctor's manipulated Ace in that way. I think there's probably bigger reasons for it. But
I'm not even sure if Fallout was about her being manipulated.
I don't know.
Sure some other sort of manipulation overall. Oh, I remember now. I don't want to say too much though, because spoilers. But
yeah.
I feel like we've probably already said too much there in terms of spoilers. But yeah, I do remember why she was upset with him.
But I guess it wasn't that too bad for Ace. Just another day for Ace and the Seventh Doctor.
Yeah.
Have you listened? Oh, go on.
No, you go on.
I was just gonna. They've got a comment saying, "Have you listened to the New Earth set? Probably the most unnecessary set we've ever got."
I think. Didn't you get that for free and still haven't listened to it?
I'm just trying to see if I can find it actually. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Tales from New Earth, the Doctor Who magazine version. The whole Doctor Who magazine give the whole box set away. I haven't listened to it. I would like to review it just to see what it's all about and whether, because I think we've said this before, that a Big Finish going too far with the spin-offs. We said that about the robots, but you've really fell in love with the robots as a spin-off.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice because it's not necessarily. I think when people saw it announced, they just thought, "Oh, it's a Liv spin-off," but it really is much more about the world of Caldor, spinning that off, exploring it. And I think what makes it different is that a lot of spin-offs we've had, especially recently, have been modern day Earth spin-offs, whereas this is a spin-off entirely set on another planet, and we get to build that world, build that culture, explore all that a lot more, and it's quite exciting from that point of view. And also there's quite a bit of commentary on current issues and things, and quite a lot of moral debates in there that it explores quite well and are quite interesting. And also we get we get some pullback from Robots of Death, and they're not like guest starring in a Liv spin-off, as it were. It doesn't feel like The Mandalorian, where he just keeps running into all these different people. It feels like they're off on their own adventure. They're in an episode entirely on their own without Liv and her sister, and I think they're getting another one like that in Volume 3. And so it's these two different plot threads going on at the same time that are presumably eventually going to come together at some point, either in 3 or 4.
I mean, I'm excited to listen to it actually, because I got the first box set for like 13 quid because I saw it on sale, so I thought, oh, I'll pick it up. I'm yet to listen to it, but you've definitely sold it to me, because I was just like, oh, I'll see what it's like. But you've definitely, because I was like you, very much like, oh, is it a spin-off too far? But now you've sort of sold it as a range to me, because it does seem like it's doing something quite interesting with the premise of Caldor, really. And I guess Big Finish over the past few years have been exploring Caldor with the Fourth Doctor Series 7 and Ravenous 2 with Escape from Caldor.
And it's sort of taking elements from both of them and building on them without the Doctor in there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to where it goes. Yeah.
Are you too excited for the upcoming main range story, Flight of the Pimpernel and the Grey Man on the Mountain?
Yeah, I definitely am.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for Grey Man on the Mountain.
Yeah, that feels very much like season 26, a story that almost never was, in a way.
It feels like what Battlefield should be, really. Like, get rid of Battlefield and give us Grey Man on the Mountain, maybe.
Yeah, it's very much got, even though it's got the Brigadier, so you think it would have the most in common with Battlefield, it feels much more like the tone of Ghostlight and Curse of Fenric. I feel.
That's very true.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to giving that a listen, good Christmas listen. And then Flight of the Pimpernel, it's Chris Chapman, and he's done some very good stuff with the Sixth Doctor so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do there.
I don't think Chris Chapman's wrote a bad story for me. I love Warzone, I love Iron Bright, I love The Middle. I just think he hasn't done a bad story. Scorched Earth was another good one.
Yeah.
He knows how to write Colin, and I guess this would be his first Perry story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So it'd be interesting to see what take he goes down, whether he goes for like the traditional Sixth Doctor and Perry, or he'll go for the more softer Sixth Doctor.
Yeah. Apparently there's going to be a flashback in it to like the younger Sixth Doctor and Perry Moore from the TV time.
Oh, okay.
But the main story will be set like later on for them, before Trial of the Time Lord, when they're much more mellowed, like the standards, Big Finish, Sixth Doctor and Perry.
Because I think Colin requested they do something about the Pimpernel or something like that, and that's how this story came about.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice to know that Colin's had a bit of say in what he wants, really.
Yeah, hopefully he enjoyed recording it, and hopefully it turns out well.
Yeah, because it's another French Revolution story, so guess Reign of Terror.
Reign of Terror is one of my favourite historicals, so
I do love the Reign of Terror. I think Reign of Terror's got one of the best DVD covers out there. I just love that DVD cover.
Yeah.
And then we've got the companion chronicle, The Fields of Terror, another one set in the French Revolution. So it'd be nice to see how they all fit together in a way, those three stories.
Yeah, and then we're getting a bit more of a sci-fi take on it this time. So that's nice to see that worked in for a change.
Yeah, instead of it being like a pure historical.
Yeah. I mean, I always love a pure historical, but when we've had a setting that's had two pure historicals in there already, good to mix it up.
I mean, the pure historicals, they're so rare. So it's nice when we do get a pure historical, because it's like fresh and exciting, because we just don't get many of them.
Yeah. Like, what's our most recent one that isn't a First Doctor one?
Most recent?
Well, I suppose we've actually spoken about it and didn't enjoy it.
Flying Dutchman?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, I mean, that was just Scooby-Doo, really, that, but...
Yeah.
I mean, the Behemoth sprung to mind, but that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's one I still haven't finished.
Yeah, with the rhino called Clara.
Yeah, that would have been October 2017, because that's before they introduced the new logo.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
2018.
I guess since we're talking about the monthly range stories, we did have the announcement of the last main range story for March 2021, The End of the Beginning, featuring the return of the Eighth Doctor in the monthly range after what will be how long will it be? 10-year absence.
Yeah.
Is it 10 years since Army of Death?
Yeah, that would have been December 2011, I think.
Bloody hell. I didn't realise it was that long for McGann to be in the main range, but bloody hell.
Yeah. But closer to 9 year.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but it sounds more impressive if we round it up to 10.
So, I mean, we've been craving McGann to go back in the main range, and it's nice to know at full circle that McGann is back in the main range for one story only.
Yeah, and he was a big part of it early on, so it makes sense to bring him in for the end, along with the other three Doctors. And I think also it differentiates it from Sirens of Time a bit, having a fourth Doctor thrown in there.
Yeah, I think as well, because Legacy of Time is basically the Sirens of Time, but in like an 8-hour format. So I think it'd be quite interesting to see what they do for the end of the beginning.
Because it's certainly homaging Sirens in the synopsis. It's a very similar synopsis to Sirens. But it makes you realise how bad the synopsis was back then, though. Just like the way it's written feels very jumpy to me. Like, let's look it up quickly. Big Finish.
Because I guess it's each Doctor's going to have their own little part in it, and it's all going to sort of be resolved around that. Really, maybe we'll do like a Sirens of Time where the cliffhangers never get resolved. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that.
Hopefully, it's not quite. Yeah, it's like the universe in a state of crisis, facing destruction from the results of a strange spatio-temporal event. As the Doctor is involved, in 3 different incarnations, each caught up in a deadly adventure scattered across space and time. The whole of creation is threatened, and someone is hunting the Doctor. The 3 incarnations of the Doctor must join together to confront their implacable pursuer, but in doing so, will they unleash a still greater threat? Just the way it's written to me, I think it uses.
What was that, Luke? You cut out. Oh, Luke's cut out. No, just go quickly check the comments. Is he back?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. He just cut out. I was a bit like, oh, where's he gone?
What did it get up to?
I'd just say start from the top.
I'm not sure if maybe it was me leaving the call and going to the Big Finish page that did it. I don't know.
I mean, we got you reading the synopsis and that.
I'm basically saying the way it's written feels very jumpy. I think the word Doctor's used in it too much. But at the same time, it's a homage to the Sirens of Time synopsis, so I can forgive it for that. But certainly, Big Finish's synopsis writing has improved over the years.
I mean, one thing to note about the cover, and it said in the chat that the 7th Doctor's in shadow, so is the 7th Doctor one of the villains of the piece?
Yeah, and like, as I said about the synopsis, 3 Doctors are all that's mentioned, and then a mysterious pursuer, so could the 7th Doctor be said pursuer?
Or it could be one big, massive game for him. I don't know, because he is very much the chess player Doctor. Is he willing to put his future incarnation in jeopardy? Probably, if it's a Virgin New Adventure 7th Doctor.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if maybe it will be a follow-up to Dark Universe. I mean, it's TV McCoy on the cover, but so was Psychic Circus and Subterfuge, but I'm pretty sure that was meant to be older McCoy, wasn't it?
I mean, we're meant to be getting the 7th Doctor Last Days box set.
Yeah.
So I guess that probably seems more of a continuation from Dark Universe. I was going to say Dalek Universe, but it's Dark Universe.
Yeah. They're very similar. It's easy to trip over the words there.
So it definitely does look like it's a fitting conclusion to the monthly range.
Yeah. I think surprising, but a nice surprise that it's a relatively new writer taking charge of it.
Is it I think is it 4 separate writers, or is it just one writer?
It's just one writer, Robert Valentine, who wrote his first one was Shadow of the Sun. I think either Shadow or it might have been the Paternoster Gang, something from Heritage Free. I can't remember. They both came out around May. But yeah, certainly.
Lovecraft Invasion was, well, technically June, but it was pushed back, wasn't it?
Yeah, but certainly he only started writing, or the stories he written only came out last year, or this year even. Sorry, it was still in 2020.
I mean, it felt 2020 is just a whole different year. It's like 4 separate years in one at this point.
Yeah, so nice that they're keeping, getting some fresh bloods in there for that.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised with like the Time Lord Victorious stuff, but like the Eighth Doctor stuff, all new writers really.
Yeah, I wonder if that has something to do with it less being Big Finish centric.
Maybe
because like, it's more, it's sort of like trying to reach a more casual audience, isn't it? Or like a wider audience than Big Finish would usually draw in.
I mean, I'm not complaining because both stories what they've released so far, I've actually really enjoyed. I think they're really two solid stories. I think
those writers do get more work with Big Finish.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this is the beginning of them writing more because they really know how to write McGann's Doctor. The Enemy of My Enemy, that was a really good one. Should we move on to some other Big Finish news?
Yeah, go for it.
And then that can lead into our next bit of news. The Third Doctor Adventures, Volume 7 and 8. It's been announced we're getting 2 more volumes, which is fantastic. One box set of Volume 7 featuring a Season 7 style story and a Season 11 story. So we've got one Liz Shaw one and one Sarah Jane story, which is the first box set where it's entirely recasts in terms of the Third Doctor stuff. There's no, safety net of Katie Manning being there. And I'm incredibly excited for it.
Yeah, I'd say certainly this is something that I feel Big Finish have earned. Like over the past few years with the Third Doctor Adventures, obviously we started with just Tim and the narration. We had Richard Franklin and Katie Manning in there. So quite a few safety nets. Then the stabilizers were off, so to speak, with Volume 2 as we moved away from the narration. That was something. That's one of the examples of Big Finish clearly listening to the feedback. Like they'd heard people weren't a fan of the narration. It didn't quite work. So they moved away from that, and it's allowed Tim Treloar to really dive into the role a lot more. It's improved as it's gone along. Then Volume 5, obviously we had Liz and the Brigadier thrown in, kept the rig around for Volume 6, and now we're expanding out from that. And it's something that takes you a moment to realise it's all new cast. But I think because they have slowly earned that, because they're all doing such a good job with it, you don't instantly clock it, not unlike the First Doctor Adventures, where instantly it's like, oh, it's an all new cast. Whereas this, because they've slowly worked their way in alongside Katie Manning, Richard Franklin, John Levine, they've earned their space in that family. And now that they're expanded out on their own, it takes you a moment to realise that it is full recast.
Yeah, like you say, I feel like this has been 6 years in the making, so it feels like a nice change for the range. But as much I love Katie Manning and Jo, for her being my favourite companion, I think it's what the range sort of needs a little shake up for people to go, oh, that's something a little bit different, so I'll check that one out. And I think it will provide some different type of stories. So, like the Season 7 one, it seems like it's very much homaging the Ambassador of Death, from the way Mark Wright writing it?
Yeah, I think.
He's even put like the little twang in it, which is great. So it would be great to explore different aspects of the Third Doctor here instead of being just confined to, Season 8 to Season 10.
I really hope they get Tim Treloar to record something special just for the trailer, like the Ambassadors trailer, where you've got John turning to the camera and saying all about kidnapping Liz Shaw and all that stuff. I think getting Tim in to do something special just for the trailer, probably wishful thinking, but I'd love it if they did a homage like that as well.
They have done exclusive trailers, haven't they? Like the Paternoster Gang. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary if they did go, here's a little bonus.
They homaged the Web of Fear trailer, didn't they? For Second Doctor, Volume 1, I think. Volume 1 of the companion books. They did like that. They got Fraser Hines to talk to the audience about it, saying if your mummy and daddy get scared, you just get them to hold your hands. Like that sort of homage. So it's not out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah, and I think as well, we've got Return of a Cyberman with, Sadie Miller. So it's nice to explore more Liz and Sarah, because we only have so many stories with those companions with the Third Doctor. So it's nice to have more stories with them. But I think my only problem with the Liz stuff, is that season 7 for me is a highly regarded season. But to me, it's one of the best, if not the best, season of classic Doctor Who or Doctor Who of all time. So you've kind of got high expectations on it to maintain that standard.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mark Wright is a very solid writer, and Masters of War, he co-wrote that one with, who was it with?
Calvin Scott. Yeah, Calvin Scott.
Yeah, they co-wrote that one. That's a very bleak story. Not quite the season 7 style of bleak, but I think it's close enough that you can see he has a handle on that sort of style. So I think, fingers crossed that it fits in well, that season lives up to it, but also brings its own stuff to it as well.
Yeah, if it has like the grittiness of season 7, I think I'd be happy with that. Because season 7, I think as well, season 7 has such a different tone. Like for me, there's something quite magical about season 7 that it doesn't quite fit with the rest of the Pertwee era, so it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. But there's something so special about that season, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a harder edge, isn't it? So they soften it as it goes along. There's something raw about that first season.
Yeah, it's just got a completely different feel to it, different look to it. It's very much bang. This is the nitty gritty. This is Doctor Who in the 70s, really.
Yeah. Well, I think how much of it would have been filmed in the 60s? Because certainly Spearhead would have, and I think some of Silurians as well, at least.
I'd say about half the Silurians would have been in the 60s, probably.
Yeah, and then we gradually drift into the 70s. Yeah, because I think you still have some very 60s remnants in there with the start with like the fashion sense. I don't think it's until season 8, which obviously we're going to talk about shortly, where you sort of get that more 70s style. Like Terror of the Autons is very in your face 70s with CSO and things and plastic, really on full full. But,
I think that's a good little segue to talk about the big news, really. The main talking point of this week, the thing what's been on everyone's Twitter feed since it's been announced, and it feels so lovely to know that we're getting another collection set.
It's been a long while since we had an announcement.
I believe somebody said it was 316 days since season 14 was announced.
That sounds about right.
So we're finally, we might have seen season 8 maybe earlier because of COVID, but I think it makes sense to be out next year because it's the year of the Master. It is 50 years of the Master. I think. Definitely. Was it out in February?
February 27th, I think, or 22nd, maybe, somewhere towards the end of February. So we might see it in March, knowing them, but season 10 managed to keep it right to the date they originally announced, so maybe it'll be the blessing of the Pertwees that they keep their date.
Yeah, because he's the only Doctor in terms of the Blu-ray stuff what hasn't had a delay, which is very cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the cover art? That seems like a nice little place to start with this set.
Yeah. Oh, I think I love it, really.
I think it's probably my favourite of the bunch because you've got sort of the Axon spaceship as like the main background instead of the time vortex, which is really like a really nice little touch.
Yeah. I quite like how they've got, I think it's behind the monsters. They've got like the spiral, from when the episode title pops up and stuff like that. They've got that spiral. Whereas often on Third Doctor stuff, they've been using like this almost the diamond shape from the very start of the title sequence.
Yeah, bit.
Yeah, that one. Whereas,
yeah.
So I'm glad that spiral's getting a bit of use instead, just to mix it up so it doesn't all feel samey.
Well, it was quite prominent in the trailer, wasn't it? That spiral motif.
Yeah, and they even used that for they sort of modernize it, don't they, and have it as more of a vortex going, like a tunnel to go through, don't they? But it's still recognizably that spiral.
I wonder if they used that. I wonder if they do like a Terror of the Vervoid sort of update title sequence for the new Terror of the Autons, maybe. Maybe we'll see that used in, or that it's just going to be used for the trailer. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I think they've done it before for trailers, haven't they? Similar sort of style like that, where it's just in the trailers.
But, I mean, the trailer.
Yeah.
What a good trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
I think in terms of Blu-ray trailers, I think this has probably been my favorite of the Blu-ray trailers. It was just a lot of fun. I
did quite like Javanka Airlines.
That was. I mean, to be honest, the trailers in themselves are just a real delight to experience.
It's nice that they include them on the discs as well.
Yeah, it's normally on like the last disc of the set, isn't it?
Yeah. So I guess we're probably only due one more. Katie and what's the actor's name who plays
Stuart Bevan?
Stuart Bevan. I guess we're due one more with like little short with them two in for season 9 eventually. What could be going on there?
Yeah. Just maybe they go for a holiday by the sea and the Sea Devils pop up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, they could do something about. They could have basically Praxius in a trailer with that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's written by the same guys.
Pretty much. They could be like, Sea Devils being choked by a Coke can bit of plastic. I don't know. That'd be quite so.
Well, he's done the Autons now. He's done his plastic.
So why not? Let's do that.
Yeah. But I don't. Or maybe it's David Trown, isn't it, who played King Paladin?
Yeah.
Get him in and have him fight with Stuart Bevan for Katie's affection.
Ooh, that'd be all right. And maybe they get a new pet in the form of Agador because of animal protection. I don't know.
Endangered species. I don't think they'd want him as a pet, would they? They'd more be type to adopt the animal, like fund it, but have it out in the wild still.
Well, just have Katie do the lullaby going Haroon, Haroon, Haroon.
Oh,
that'd be pretty cool.
That would be great to hear like older Joe doing the lullaby.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love that.
Did you see there was like a photo of her and the Third Doctor on the wall?
Yeah, that was from the Time Monster. I thought that was a lovely little touch.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Good old James has popped up, but Zavi's price has gone down by £1. Also mentioning that they have student discount. Do you have student discount? I mean, I've ordered off of Zoom because I like Zoom.
Yeah. I got mine on Amazon. I don't know how. I got my season 14 all right, so fingers crossed that they keep it up.
I mean, I got a £5 knocked off it because I used like the Zoom code for it, so I got like 10% off. So I got a £5 knocked off season 8, which was all right. So that was all right.
Do you think it's a permanent price increase now to £45?
I don't know because it's 8 discs. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
We've had 8 like season 19, 18, 14. Yeah, they've all been 8 discs before. I don't think any of the other ones are.
I mean, a part of me feels like it's due to the restoration, but the restoration costs were probably a bit higher.
Yeah, like I think I saw like they've done Terror of the Autons and Colony in Space from scratch, I believe.
Yeah, apparently they found a missing bit from Colony in Space that I think it's in episode 2 that Norton strikes one of the primitives, and you never see Norton strike it. It was just implied. I think Barry Letts cut that because he thought it was just too violent. So I guess that will be restored into Colony in Space.
I wonder if that'd be an optional director's cut then. Was it? Maybe it won't be directors.
Because I think Claws of Axos has got a extended episode, hasn't it? Yeah, episode 1
is
extended. I guess we'll talk about the special features because James has asked, what are your hopes? What hopes do you have for the special features? So we've got the standard Behind the Sofa with Katie Manning, Stuart Bevan, Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, and Sacha Dhawan and Angie Mahindra, which I think is quite a nice little balance, really, because obviously you keep the people involved technically in the era, then you've got somebody from another classic era, and now we've got new series people technically involved, which is lovely. It's nice to see Sacha Dhawan involved since he's playing the Master.
Yeah, that's right. It's nice to see him getting a chance to look back to the original Masters debut season, like see where his character has come from, how far it's come, and then I believe Angeli is in there because like they're together, her and Sasha. So obviously it's quite easy to get them in together with the COVID restrictions currently. We see that with the other two, they've got their glass panel between them, keeping them apart. Bit flimsily, but it does its job, I suppose.
I mean, it makes me sort of excited, but we are getting new series people because I would love to see, for the 5 Doctors, maybe David Tennant and maybe Georgia Tennant watch the 5 Doctors. That would be lovely. Maybe those two just sitting down watching, Georgia Tennant watching her dad, and obviously David Tennant watching the Doctor he grew up watching.
Maybe even squeeze Peter in there as well.
Yeah, I think that would be lovely to have those watching the 5 Doctors. I think the 5 Doctors, the Behind the Sofa has to be one of the best. Get Caroline Ford, get everyone sort of involved. I think that'd be a real treat, really. Russell T, that'd be great. I think 5 Doctors is a Behind the Sofa, which I just really want to know what they're going to do for.
Yeah, I think also with Angeli being brought in now with season 8, it would be nice to see her and maybe Tommy Knight and who was it who played Clyde?
Is it Anthony Daniel?
It's something like that, isn't it? That's
Riccio,
but his name's very similar. It might, I don't know. But yeah, get like them 3 together for either 11 or 12 and get them. No, sorry. 11 or 13 and get them watching an old Sarah Jane season.
That'd be, I think for season 11 that'd be quite nice to see where Liz's journey started, and I guess the program what made her really.
Yeah, I think also, what's happened to Richard Franklin, our boy?
Apparently he's been in hospital.
Oh no.
I think that's why he's not in the Devil's Weekend.
Yeah.
Because I think Chris Chapman tweeted that they did a recce in January and they were going to film it in March, but they only just filmed it in October.
Oh, that's quite yeah.
So it's fairly recent, and I think everything's signed off now for season 8 actually. So hopefully.
That's good.
So if we go back to the special features, we've got In Conversation, Matthew Sweet chats to companion Katie Manning. They're always a treat, Matthew Sweet. I think Matthew Sweet brings out a very different interview with the Doctor Who stars, especially the Tom Baker one. I feel like the Tom Baker interview's one of the most raw and Tom Baker interviews, because normally Tom sort of hides behind that sort of joker storyteller facade, whereas you get a very honest Tom Baker in that interview, so it'd be very interesting to see what Matthew Sweet can bring out of Katie.
Yeah. That's probably going to be one where the waterworks start going, isn't it?
Oh, as soon as she starts talking about John, I'll be gone. I'll be a mess.
Yeah. I think, what else have we got on that?
We've got a Devil's Weekend.
Yeah. That's John and Katie, isn't it? John Levine.
So the little bio for that is: take a personal trip back to the picturesque village of Allburn 50 years after the recorded Doctor Who story, The Daemons. I think that'd be quite emotional because when you see interviews of the Pertwee gang, they always talk so fondly about the Damons, and I think the Damons is quite a well documented story because in the 90s you had Return to Devil's End, where you had Nick Courtney, Richard Franklin, John Pertwee, Nick Courtney all go back to Allborn. So it'd be quite emotional for John Levine in that sense. That he'd be thinking, well, gosh, I was here with those lot back in the 90s, and now it's just those two standing at that time now, really.
Yeah, I think everyone had a very good time on that, from what we know. Like the original recording, it seems that was a favourite, not just of fans, but also of the crew and cast.
And then we've got the one you mentioned, the Doctor Who directors Michael Bryant, Graham Harper, and Tim Combe take an epic road trip all around the film locations from season 8 as they discuss directing the show in the early 70s.
I'm quite looking forward to that one, actually.
I think that's going to be like a new series, like the Doctor's Table. Apparently, this is going to be a very sort of new sort of thing to feature throughout the other box sets, which is kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I think it's nice when they get, because you've got Behind the Sofas, a regular piece, but then you occasionally get like In Conversation or this directory or the writer's room bit, stuff like that. Just not for every box set, but for a few box sets, it's nice to have these things in there.
Yeah, I guess because it's not very studio bound this season. Well, yeah, it's not really studio bound. There's quite a bit of location work, so I think it makes sense for it to have this, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you couldn't get away with it for season 1.
Oh no, you'd be like, oh, let's take a trip around Lime Grove. Here's the studio.
Yeah. I think also I remember quite enjoying hearing about the it's Timothy Combe, isn't it, for The Mind of Evil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed watching the documentary on that, seeing him talk about all the stuff in there. So it'd be nice to get some more of that and him being in conversation with the other directors. I'm not interacted back in the day when they first. Would they have had any interaction at all, do you think?
No, I think it was just basically you're assigned this story, see you later, really. So it'd be quite interesting to see the other directors talk about what they could do, what they would have done, maybe. I think that'd be quite an interesting
to have their different experiences of different cast members and stuff.
It'd be quite interesting. Quite surprised there's no updated Delgado tribute with the new documentary techniques. They have found, I guess the original tribute they did on Frontier was obviously brilliant enough. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to have like a proper Delgado, like they've done it since with like Pertwee and Caroline John and now Liz Sladen. So I think it would be quite nice to have been more of an in-depth look at Roger. But yeah, I remember the Frontier one being pretty cool.
Terrence, though, they wanted to devote it more to that.
I mean, that's a good little segue because we've got with Terrence and me, lifelong Doctor Who fan Frank Skinner sets out to meet family, friends, and colleagues of the late, much-loved writer Terrence Dicks.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Lenny one, Finding Lenny May or something like that.
Yeah.
And like sort of has that sort of vibe.
As much as I like Toby Haydock, it's nice that this feels like something that would typically be given to him, but I like that they've given it to someone else just to mix it up a bit.
Definitely, and I think it's sort of surprising because I think Terrence had the whole coverage of the Target books. So we sort of talked about Terrence in the Target books, but I don't feel like we know Terrence as a person, really. So it'd be great to know more about him as a person outside of Doctor Who, but obviously Doctor Who is going to be one of the main focuses, and Terrence is such a big part of Doctor Who, so it makes sense for us to really focus on the man who really shaped the show. Yeah,
definitely. He had like a huge role and a key time for the show between Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee, and then also a bit into Tom Baker as well.
Oh, definitely. So the other special features we've got our Blu-ray trailer, so we've talked about that. We have the extended episode 1 of the Claws of Axos.
Was the footage itself featured in the special edition DVD?
I think it's the same for like Vengeance on Varas, but you've got the off-air stuff, haven't you? Really?
Yeah, but now they've edited it in more appropriately, I guess.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to see that all fitted together. We have the 90-minute omnibus edition of the Daemons. So quite interesting to see the Daemons in that format.
Yeah.
We have the immersive 5.1 surround sound of Terror of the Autons and the Daemons. So that'd be pretty cool. That's one thing what I liked about the trailer, that they demonstrated that in the trailer, which did sound very cool. And then we have the updated optional effects and CSO cleanup of Terror of the Autons, because it does seem like a tradition that one story Blu-ray set does get the CGI remake. And the cleanup for Terror of the Autons looks astonishing, actually. From the images I've seen, it does look like a very good cleanup.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's a lot of the CSO stuff is quite quick, isn't it, in there?
Yeah.
And so if you're sat there watching it and you like pause it, look at all the little lines and stuff, you'll notice it. But hopefully, as it like flows as you're watching it, as you would, you don't notice it as much. Whereas with the original, it does jump out at you when it's CSO.
I'm really excited to see the kitchen, how they're going to do the kitchen scene. House. How are they going to do that? Are they going to literally rotoscope like the wife out of it and just plop her into this new CGI background? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the doll in the car. It's a new CGI car, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it.
And you've got the shot composition being a bit different with the light coming from the shadows of the like window, isn't there?
Yeah, I guess they've made it have a bit more of an atmosphere, which I don't know how it makes sense, because it's quite sunny from memory, but when he leaves the plastic factory, it's quite a hot day. So I don't know. Doesn't seem. I mean, I guess it's artistic choice, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's to make it a bit more dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it does look creepy. I'll give it.
I mean, what I find kind of creepy is that there was an actual person inside that, and yet we've got no actual photos of somebody in it.
Where's it going? Oh dear.
I find that really mental, but that's an actual costume.
Yeah.
There's a full-size costume of the troll doll. That's right there, Ryan.
I think that's going to be. We're going to get a scene of that jumping at Katie, aren't we?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's going to be something out of Five Nights at Freddy's, isn't it?
I mean, the Pertwee era, way ahead of its time again.
Yeah. Gosh.
Oh wow. So the other special features, we've got unseen studio footage, rare archive treats, convention footage, HD photo galleries, scripts and costume designs, and rare BBC production files, and the standard special features, what were on the DVDs, and lots more. So there's quite a lot on there, as you would expect on the Blu-ray.
It's like a Bumperfield one.
Yeah, because I feel like we've said this before, that the Pertwee era has so much. It's quite well documented already, but most of the Pertwee stories have special editions, and that, Claws of Axos had a special edition. The Daemons is like 2 discs full of special features.
I mean, season 10, the most recent Blu-ray for Pertwee, that felt like quite light on new special features, didn't it?
Like you had the Lenny Maid one, you had what other ones did you have? The Joneses one, that was a nice one.
Yeah. I think there was a John Pertwee one, wasn't there? Like
the Third Man, yeah, that was another one.
Yeah, but I think for that you had Green Death special edition, Carnival of Monsters special edition, and Three Doctors special edition. So more than half the season had already been re-released and redone.
Yeah, and that was pretty much in the space of 5 years between those special editions. So it's bizarre, really, when you say it like that.
Yeah, I guess that was sort of reflected in the fact they only had 6 discs, whereas now we've bumped up to 8. So hopefully that is a good sign for this one.
Yeah, hopefully, but there'll be quite a lot to digest within, and hopefully we'll do another live stream talking about the whole season and the special features when it comes close to the time.
Gotta love flicking through the booklet as well, seeing all the fun stuff in there.
Yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see like the new artwork for it. It just looks like a very cool set, and I think everyone's just so excited to know that there's another collection set coming out. It just brings me joy seeing them.
Yeah, and hopefully they hold off until after this one to announce the next one. Like, I don't think we want to get stuck in that same rut of we have the announcement, the hype dies down, another announcement comes along before the original one comes out. So by the time it does come out, we're already focusing on what's up next. Like, we need a bit of time at first to digest what's currently out before we look to what's next.
Was season 26 announced before season 23 was out?
Yeah, it was.
So maybe, I mean, they might do another one of those then.
Yeah.
I think that was a thing because season 26 was released quite late, but season 14 was announced before that. And I think everyone was going, "Oh, I really want season 14. Forget season 26."
Yeah, because it was meant to be Christmas Eve, wasn't it? It was the original date.
Yeah, that was like everyone's Christmas present, really, wasn't it? That was the one thing people really wanted.
Yeah, and then it got pushed back way into the next year, I think. Like, not way into January, I mean. Like, it wasn't just a couple of weeks delay, it was pretty much a whole month, I think.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm so excited for the Blu-ray. I think everyone's excited for the Blu-ray. Big Finish takes all my money, but the Blu-ray does look very pretty. I mean, we can vouch for that. Big Finish takes all our money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that covers season 8. I think we're all incredibly excited for it. We're looking forward to it.
It's a surprise that it wasn't announced on the day itself. Like, they held off until Wednesday for some reason rather than doing it on the 57th anniversary.
Yeah, apparently, I think there was rumors that it was going to be announced, but it dropped at midnight, wasn't it? Was it Wednesday it dropped? Or was it? Yeah, I think it was Wednesday, wasn't it? Tuesday?
Yeah, they sort of ruined it a bit with the pre-orders. We had the same thing with Web of Fear. The pre-orders went up at midnight, but the press release didn't come out until 10 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah, I mean, the Web of Fear, that was quite a surprising one. I think everyone was expecting the other Yeti story, the Boulder Snowmen, not the Web of Fear.
I remember I said at the time about when we had the Enemy of the World, they said there's another Blu-ray coming, and we all thought, oh, this will be Web of Fear. And it ended up being the season 12 collection. And then now we've come full circle. We were expecting a collection announcement, and instead we got Web of Fear.
Yeah.
And then we got a collection announcement anyway.
It kind of took the shine off Web of Fear. Like, it's like, oh, Web of Fear, that's great, but season 8, then that looks pretty. Let's go for that. Let's talk about that, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that one really took me by surprise.
Yeah, same. Because I feel like everyone was holding out hope that they'd get the third episode back. But now that they're going for the animation, it makes you think the BBC have given up on it.
Yeah, because I remember there was rumours back when the Enemy of the World Special Edition was announced that Web of Fear will be out the August of that year. So maybe this is sort of a long time coming, and I guess it does sort of make sense that we're getting a Web of Fear special edition, but probably not the one we expected. It'd be nice to have special features. I think that's one thing I'm excited to see what they're going to do for the Web of Fear, because I really did enjoy The Fury from the Deep on the Cruel Sea. I thought that was a really good making of.
I love the story about I think it was the helicopter pilot, wasn't it, who like swung on a chandelier or something and broke. In the hotel. Yeah, it's lovely hearing stories like that, and of the actress who walked out into the sea, like with
Mrs. Harrison,
yeah. and then they rushed the actress they got her out, rushed her right back into the hotel, put loads of blankets on her and everything, and that was it for her day. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I like that we kind of hear more of the obscure stories in like the Blu-ray sets and like the animation stuff. We get to hear the stories what we don't, we I guess we hear all the stories from Fraser Hines and those lots. So it's nice to have a more of a general overview and look of those stories in a very different light, really.
Yeah. And I guess,
like you said,
there's not really any
driver.
notable filming locations to go back to, is there? Like, we don't have the rigs or anything on that scale for this.
I mean, you've got Covent Garden, I guess, because that was location.
But I think that was only really the soldiers, wasn't it? I don't think any of the main cast went that.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. And even what's Captain Knight's Ralph something? Ralph
Watson? Yeah, Ralph Watson, yeah.
Yeah, I think even he wasn't on location for that because he went off with Troughton, so I'm not sure how many people who would have been at that filming are still around. Yeah, I think that's the sad thing about Weatherford. Most of the people who worked on it are now gone.
No, it is a real shame, really.
Yeah, but we should still get some good behind the scenes stuff there, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Hopefully, with just one episode to animate, we can get high quality animation as well.
I mean, I'm curious actually, because the trailer was in color. So are they going to do like a faceless ones and do the whole thing in color?
I don't think so, because the announcement very much makes it seem it's just episode 3.
Because it looks like the big Finnish creative team are doing that. I guess that makes sense because they have the assets from View from the Deep. So I guess it makes sense for that team to do it.
Although it does look like it's going to be a different kind of animation, though. It's going to 3D.
Yeah, I mean,
the trailer. And I imagine the trailer would be a reflection of what they're going for with the product.
It does look like I guess it does use the template from View from the Deep because it does look very much how Troughton looked in that animation.
Yeah, he's got the long arms, hasn't he? As well.
Yeah, he's got the spaghetti arms.
Yeah, he looks a bit taller than he probably should. I'm hoping in 4x3 and black and white it looks a bit better, because I can't say I was too big a fan of it in the trailer.
I mean, black and white just hides a multitude of sins. So I guess it makes sense for it to be in black and white.
Yeah, I think faceless ones I enjoy. I think the faceless ones is a good quality animation. The color one is good, but black and white just makes it even better for me.
And I think with the Macroterra, I think that was very much designed to be in color. So I think that benefits from it because of the extra work they've done, especially the world building for the colony. So I think that one benefits being in color because I think I enjoyed that one more in color than black and white.
Yeah. I think this has taken us back to the old animation days as well, isn't it? When it was just the odd episode here and there.
Yeah.
Animation isn't the main selling point of this product. It's just there to fill in that gap for a change.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a shame that we don't actually have the thing, because it's very much like, here's what you could win, but you're just going to have this. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful that we can experience web as a complete form. I mean, it still doesn't feel real, when we watch the Web of Fear episode 1, but we can continue the story with visuals in a way.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I'm thankful that we have episode 4, because I think episode 4 is probably my favourite of the Web of Fear, just the Battle of Covent Garden.
Yeah, that's like the episode where shit hits the fan.
Yeah, because Troughton's not really. Yeah, Troughton's not in episode 2, is he?
No, that's one where he's absent from that.
He's on holiday.
Yeah, and then you get the first appearance of the Brigadier as just a foot. Played by someone else.
I think, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with the animation, whether they keep. Yeah, because I guess because it is the one episode, whether they will keep it to the original, whether they will go telesnap route like what they did with the early DVD animations, or very much they do the whole sort of let's make it artistic, but will it be too jarring if they go too far that way that the other episode it sticks out like a sore thumb with the other episodes?
Yeah, yeah. I think it is more of a simple episode, though, isn't it?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's the one where you've got everyone heads back to base. You've got the briefing and things. I think the Yeti sneaks in and does the cable, and then finally you have no, not even the Yeti. It's the traitor amongst them who does that, and then at the end you get the Yeti comes in and attacks. So yeah, it's not too heavy on action. That's more saved for episode 4, so it shouldn't be. There's not really much chance to be overly artistic in the direction, I don't think.
No, but it'd be interesting. I mean, I don't think we've got a release date for it yet. Or is it? I've heard June. June's apparently it's meant to be coming out.
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah. Oh no, I think it's June 2022. That's just like where the default for Amazon.
I was going to say 2022. That seems way off.
Yeah. No, that's just like the default for Amazon, and the actual date hasn't been announced yet. That's probably where June's come from.
I mean, it'd be. I guess we'll see another animation as well. Whether we'll have, the rumor's been Evil of the Daleks or Abominable Snowmen. So we might have 3 animations next year, maybe, because we're only, Web of Fear's only 1 episode, so I guess they could do 3 next year, possibly.
But then it depends how much the pandemic slowed them down. So maybe it could be Web and one other one next year, and then the next one will be early 2022.
No, could be.
It would make sense to get Abominable Snowmen out there though, and like have that and Web of Fear in the same year.
Like it's one of those things. Like if they both existed, you could see back in the DVD line, they could do like a Yeti Tales box set. Like the soundtrack did, like the Yeti Attacks box set.
Yeah. That's it.
Any ideas of the release of season 8? I think we said it was end of February, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't. It's February 20 something. I can't remember the day though.
But yeah, I mean, other DVD news and Blu-ray news, we had the announcement of the Day of the Doctor Steelbook, which is very cool. As a fan of the Steelbooks, it seems nice to have. So I think it's I think it's the BBC Shop exclusive. 50th anniversary box set. So it'll have all the content from that box set onto the Steelbook. So it'll have the 5-ish Doctors reboot, Adventure in Space and Time on Blu-ray, because I believe that was the only way in the UK to get that as a Blu-ray, unless you get the US import. So
you got 9.
It seems, Night of the Doctor. You've got the Doctor trilogy of stories. So it just seems like a really good box set to get, and it's mad to think that this year we've had all the Matt Smith Steelbooks technically been announced and released. And next year we possibly could see the end of that range with Capaldi with Series 8.
Yeah, because they did they did 9 and 10, didn't they? When they came out.
Yeah, 9 and 10 came out when they were broadcast, really.
Yeah. I wonder if they would go back and redo them to sort of fit in with the rest of the range or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a market for it because a lot of people missed out on that because it was an Amazon exclusive. And I think since they've been repressing the collection range, I guess it makes sense for them to do it for the Steelbooks and just, give it new artwork that's more in keeping with the current aesthetics of the other ones, maybe.
Yeah. Well, then again, even there, you have series. Is it 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 that have the pre-Chibnall logo?
Series 1 to 3.
And it's 4 that they switched it up. So I guess even there you've got a bit of a discrepancy for collectors, but is what it
I mean,
is.
there is a thing on Redbubble where you can get like magnets for them, so you can put magnets over the steelbook, so it's all in keeping. But I just don't have the heart to do that.
No.
I mean, are you tempted by the 50th steelbook at all?
No, not really, to be honest. I felt
That's fair enough.
my budget is stretched enough as it is.
Well, Big Finish and the odd collection set takes all your money.
Yeah, exactly. But I think got them all on Netflix and BBC iPlayer, so
Yeah, that is true. Finally, the people who got ripped off by Argos last year finally get their 50th set. That is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a scandal. That box set was listed on Argos like a tenner, and then they just got this vanilla release of the Day of the Doctor. I think that very much covers the news roundup. Really, I think that's all done.
Yeah. Brian Blessed is Omega. How can we forget?
Oh God, Brian Blessed is Omega. Omega's alive. Bloody hell. King Vicarnos is Omega.
So he wouldn't return to Big Finish for King Vicarnos, but he will do this with some random company. It's not long started.
I mean, have you backed it? Have you supported the project?
Can't say I have. Have you?
No, I haven't backed it. I mean, I'm intrigued by it, but I'm not. I wasn't that invested to back it.
No.
I mean, I was like, what was that? You're a bit quiet.
It's already reached its goal, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's already reached its goal, and I was looking at like the different sort of pledges. Like, I think some of it's like 200 quid, and I was like, that's a bit much.
Like, you can get a cameo in it, but it's a cameo in a crowd scene.
Oh, I mean, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Blessed. I mean, I'm sure it'll be released on like YouTube at some point.
Imagine using that on your CV, though. Like, I was in a radio play with Brian Blessed.
Like, sign me up. Yeah, you can have the job. I mean, it just feels like a real crazy world to be a fan. It feels like the wilderness years is seeping back into it with the whole sort of these comics, like the Underworld Planet, the Mandrels, what other ones they've got? Lytton. It just feels like a bizarre world, that we are. It just feels very wilderness years. These comic, these little independent Kickstarter projects. It just feels so
bizarre.
Wilderness, yeah. And we've had a reprint of Times Champion, which is great. To get it for a good price.
I think what's Bob Baker's hoping he can get Brian Blessed in for Timequake now as well.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, is Timequake still a thing? Because I know that he's done a K9 book called Megabytes, and apparently that's got a story of Omega in.
Yeah, I don't. Like, we had that big announcement, and everyone was surprised by that, and then it never went anywhere since.
Yeah, because apparently it was going to be a TV series with K9 stuff. Then it would go into the film.
Yeah.
From memory, from the Timequake panel me and James did back at VUP.
Yeah, like, when did it... Was it originally scheduled to come out in 17 or 18?
I think it was meant to be coming in 2017.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit delayed.
I mean, you can't even blame it on the world circumstances right now.
No.
Oh, God.
I think I don't think it'll ever see the light of day, but you never, like, with everything that's happened this year with Doctor Who, you never know.
God, imagine if a trailer dropped this, you'd be like, whoa, I didn't expect that to be the thing.
They could always just do an animated one. That might be.
Maybe that is the way for K9. Maybe that is the way forward to go with K9, actually.
Yeah, because I think he's animated anyway half the time in that TV series.
I mean, I've never seen the Australian stuff, and I'd never plan to.
No, I don't. I think that's one spin-off I'm going to. Well, I say one spin-off I'm going to stay away from. I stayed away from Class as well.
Yeah, I think that was a case of a spin-off too far. K9.
But then, is it even really a spin-off? Because it's like not officially licensed by Doctor Who, is it?
Yeah,
It is completely its own thing.
it is very. Yeah, that is true, actually.
But we still get K9 in Big Finish.
So yeah, we've still. Yeah, because he's in. Is he in series 10 of the Fourth Doctor?
No, it's they're going back to the wood-panelled console room times.
Yeah,
between Talons and Hand of Fear. They originally announced he was in it though, but then for whatever reason, he's not.
I mean, surely they would have recorded them because they record the Fourth Doctor stuff way in advance.
Yeah, I think it must have just been a mistake when they did the announcement because they announced 10 and 9 at the same time.
And
if you go back to that original press release, they definitely say Louise Jameson on John Leeson as leader in K9, but that's it. We got him in Shadow of the Sun though.
Oh yeah, that was a good little K9 story. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. We got some good K9 moments throughout Series 9.
Yeah, he definitely got some good stuff to do in Series 9, the Fourth Doctor.
That's the first time he's appeared like throughout the whole series. Like usually they have the stories where he's indisposed or in the TARDIS, but I think because it's in E-space, you can get away with it a lot more, can't you?
Yeah, and I think they utilised him well within the settings. So it was nice to see K9 actually take more of a central role.
Yeah, because you're no longer limited by the TV production.
Yeah, it's like the Silent Scream, but you've got him going along that motorway. Like, no way could they have done that back in the 80s. No way could they have got K9 doing that.
They would have loved to have tried, but
I mean, he struggled on Brighton Beach and the marsh. You know, the marshes on Algeria. So God help him with that.
Oh, could you just imagine that the K9 on a mission theme with him poorly CSO'd onto a motorway?
It'd be like bloody Warrior's Gate, just that type of weird sort of CSO sort of vibe. Just get K9 on like a treadmill, just going along. Oh, wow. I think that pretty much wraps us all up, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we're all done, unless there's any final questions before we head off. But it's been good to talk about this. It's nice to have actual Doctor Who news, isn't it, for a change? Because we've been sort of in like a barren wasteland of no news, and then this whole week we've just had so much news drop. It's just been a real nice change, really.
Yeah.
And to be excited about stuff other than, you know, other things. You know, it's nice to have another collection. It's nice to know that we're getting all manner of merchandise. You know, it's just really refreshing.
Yeah, because I suppose with the pandemic and everything, I think a lot of things have been pushed back, haven't they? So we had quite a while of uncertainty as to what was coming, when it would be coming. But now, it's all starting to be confirmed. And we know there's more collection box sets in the pipeline. I think season 20 supposedly coming at some point. They filmed stuff for it. Perhaps even season 2.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice to have a black and white set soon.
Can you imagine if they got Peter Capaldi for that and like getting him to do the behind the sofa of the Web Planet?
Oh, that. Do you know what? I would be instantly sold. I mean, I'll be sold on this series anyway because I'm already down the rabbit hole of a collection line. But
I'm so here
for that. I'm so here for Capaldi to. oh, get Capaldi watching like An Unearthly Child. That would be magical. To have
Yeah.
him watching that would be brilliant. We do have a question. What do you think of the Daleks animated series?
Ah. Have you checked it out?
I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and I tell you what, I'm actually really enjoying it.
Ah. I'll be honest. I watched the trailer and then just didn't really check back with it since.
I like it. I like what it's doing. Like the Daleks, I think as well because it's the Daleks. You think, oh, how much character can you get away from with a Dalek? Because there's only so much you can do with a Dalek's character and make it not see. You know, if you go too far, it's not a Dalek. But I think with the way they've done it, each Dalek has its own personality, and it's just great to have a very different take on and see the Daleks. You know, it's yeah, I enjoy it. The first 2 episodes, what I've seen, I've still got to see the 3rd episode, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. I think the 2nd episode's definitely a step up from the first one, and I like the direction it's going with. So it's got a lot of promise, and I think that I think it's taken a lot of people by surprise, actually, because there was I think there's quite a lukewarm response to it when it first dropped. But I think now the episodes are starting to come out, people are actually going, oh, you know what, this is actually really good. And I think, I think that it's solid. I think that it's a good little thing.
Yeah. Free as well, so.
Oh, yeah, it's 13 minutes of, Dalek action. What more can you want, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe I'll binge it all when it's all out. So,
because it does feel very sort of Terry Nation, I will say that. So it's very cool.
Yeah, because he often with especially the early '60s stories, you would have Daleks in conversation with each other, wouldn't you?
Definitely.
They're not all exactly the same personality. They're very similar, but they can have a conversation and a disagreement of things. Whereas later on, like particularly new series, they've all just been like you've got the whole hive mind introduced and everything, so that sort of it's taken away from that a bit. So I'm glad to hear that they've got back to those roots in a way.
I guess the Cult of Skaro tried to do something a little bit different, especially in like the series 3 episode when like they're really questioning Dalek Sec as a leader. So I think I guess it's sort of reminiscent to that in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I know that story gets a lot of hate. I quite like it.
It's just, I think for me, I had such an attachment to that story as a kid because I just like the visuals of the Daleks and like the grimy sewers. I think it just works because they look quite, especially in Series 2, the Bronze Daleks, they look kind of cheap. But when you've got them in that sort of low lit lighting, they just look so much better, those Bronze Daleks.
Oh, and like the scene where the two of them are talking about Dalek Sec and they look around to make sure no one else is around listening in, and then they have a conversation about their doubts. I think that's very good stuff.
Like it reminds you that they're not these robots like most, like especially I think that's a new series does. It makes it. I guess it's the same fault Destiny of the Daleks has, but they're very much robots. Whereas with that sort of story, the Series 3 one, you sort of get that bit of personality, really.
Yeah. I think that's the one where they've explored it the most, because Doomsday, they're introduced there, but they don't have too much personality as such. It's more focused on Daleks versus Cybermen, wrapping up Rose, all that stuff. There's so much going on there that they can't quite manage to squeeze that in on top of it. So it's saved, but not actually that much longer afterwards. It's only 4 stories later, isn't it?
Yeah. It's quite surprising actually. It was that sort of mid. Yes, it's not a mid-series, but it's that mid-point in the series, I guess.
Yeah, it's the first 2-parter.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as adults now, like that seems like nothing. That gap of just over a year between Dalek story, or not even just over a year, under a year between Dalek stories. Like end of one series towards the start of the next. But when you're a kid, that is ages, and it's very exciting to have the Daleks back. I remember.
Well, definitely, like you see the Radio Times cover, you get so excited for it.
Yeah, I think New York as well, having it in that setting.
Yeah, I love the scene between Diagoras and I think is it Dalek Faye or one of them, Dalek Jast, I can't remember. But when he's like looking over the New York skyline.
Oh, doesn't he say it was? Does he say it was never? No, I'm getting confused with Sontaran stratagem with Stoll and Luke, where he says it was never enough for me, looking over the earth.
Yeah, that's Sontaran. Like I love that scene where I'm just talking about like human ambition and that. Like, that's a really scene between those. Have I had any luck with the Imperial? No, I haven't found the A set yet, James. I'm still on the hunt for it.
The hunt continues tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to try tomorrow, hopefully, because this set is just. I feel like, yeah, like I said earlier, that this one's probably the most popular of the two because everybody wants that Imperial. Because, yeah, I think the Imperial Dalek's a great design. I think it's a nice improvement from the Necros one, really.
Yeah, and also it's nice that they mixed it up on screen with the lights as well and gave them something different instead of just a regular dome. It's this disc, isn't it?
Yeah, but they've got very different sort of dome lights.
Yeah, I know. It's a design that really pops.
Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of the Necros Daleks, but I love the Imperial. I love the Imperials in that.
Necros feels like a very cheap recolor of the standard grey Daleks, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas Imperial, it's the same sort of skeleton, but the attachments are different enough that it pops. Like even the plunger, it's like this solid, it's this solid piece, isn't it? It's not actually a plunger as such on the end of it.
Yeah, because like the Necros ones still got like the black plunger, which I just think doesn't really work with the white and gold color scheme. You know, it works better as like a solid gold piece, like you said, really.
Yeah. I also like how it's got the little indents in it, and so when it plugs into the like console bits, it then like locks into it properly.
Yeah, like only that fraction of Daleks can use that technology, so it makes it quite unique in that sense. But if the Renegade Daleks try to access, the Dalek database, like the Imperial Dalek database, and they can't really access it because they don't have the right plunger. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Maybe they just do what the Seventh Doctor does: pop one out from
Why
imagine just a Renegade Dalek with its plunger holding another Dalek's plunger.
That'd be great, wouldn't it? That's a deleted scene in Remembrance of the Daleks. What would you like to see in the future B&M sets? I'd like more monsters. I'd love a classic Silurian. I think, I guess we're continuing the companion. So I'm a big fan of monsters, so I definitely would like to see more monsters in the line. Possibly more 60s, 80s monsters.
I suppose it'd be a good time for them to branch out into the 60s companions, wouldn't it? Because we've got a lot of the 70s now.
Yeah, the 70s is pretty much all done, really.
Is it only Liz we're missing?
Yeah, I think Liz was meant to come out in the unit set, but it got packaged as the Claws of Axos one, because I believe Liz was going to be part of that set.
So maybe we'll get her at some point.
Fingers crossed. I'd love that. Maybe Liz and Bessie. I'd like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, like the 60s companions really sell themselves to like the free packs. Like you could easily get Susan, Ian, and Barbara in a free pack. It would work quite well.
Yeah. I suppose maybe you could get a Jamie. Could do Jamie, Zoe, and Victoria, or maybe do a Web of Fear set and have Jamie, Zoe, and Colonel Lethbridge do it.
Yeah, because you could do a little variant of the Brig. Yeah, because he's got a different hat, I guess.
Yeah, like they're doing their different molding. So
yeah, they could easily get away with that.
Yeah, I think 2021's got to be the year of the Jamie, though.
Oh, Jamie. It just seems wrong having a second Doctor figure without Jamie.
Yeah.
It feels weird when you watch a second Doctor story without Jamie, because you just feel like Jamie's such an integral part of a second Doctor's era. Really.
Oh, that's such a good double act.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
definitely.
he's the last major companion. Okay, maybe him and Susan, I'd say, are the last two major iconic companions not to have a figure. Like you've got Ace, you've got Sarah, you got Joe, you need Jamie and Susan.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Actually, that is very true. Or Chameleon. Chameleon could have. Everybody wants a Chameleon action figure.
Well, with the right imagination, any figure can be a Chameleon action figure.
Oh, technically, we have got a Chameleon because the Anthony Amy Masters Chameleon.
Yeah.
There we go. I think that wraps us all up. I think we've covered all the news and all the questions.
No more coming in.
No, I don't think there's any more coming in. I think we're all up to date. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I hope that we've entertained you for the past nearly 2 hours, talking all things Doctor Who news. Thank you for joining me, Luke. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So thank you very much for watching. I hope we've entertained you, like I said. Stay safe because, COVID's still a thing and all that.
Make sure you wear your mask while you're on your B&M hunt.
Yeah, wear your mask when you're on your B&M hunt because that will be me tomorrow. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Because I think maybe we could do like a Big Finish look on for 2021, looking at the Big Finish releases next year. Maybe that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, definitely be down for that. I mean, there's certainly quite a lot to talk about again there.
Yeah, it's quite a lot to look forward to because I definitely think 2021 is the year Big Finish is coming into their own. But I guess we'll talk more about that in the next live stream we do.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone.
See you then, guys.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.